Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Hafiz bin Muhammad Nurul Nizam, student ID 2020-977-081. I'm one of the members of Group 9 and will be presenting about the Latin America region. The topic that will be discussed by me is the introduction, the climate, the environmental problem, and the cultural regional history.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Fauzan Kolbi. My student ID is 2020-220208. I'm one of the members of Region 9. I will explain about Portuguese colonization, other European colonies, independence, and Mexico.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nonazla Aimi binti Muasaleh and my student ID is 2020958183. I will be the last person to present in Region 9, so stay tuned with us. Thank you.
Okay, before we start and go further into the explanation, here is the world map, and inside the red circle represent the Latin America region. And this is the map of the entire Latin America, a detailed map of the region, where you can see Brazil is the largest country in the region with over 210 million citizens in 2020. If you want to see the map for your reference, you can turn on page 466 on textbook. And fun fact, Brazil is the world's largest coffee producer, where they produce around 25% of the world's supply of coffee. 1.0 Introduction. Latin America is a region of exciting contrast in its human and physical geography. Latin America countries range from high to low incomes, from dependence on a single economic product to a diverse and integrated economic base, and to isolation from the global economic system. Extreme contrast between materially wealth and materially poor of the region are most dramatic within Latin America city, where you can see a huge differences when it comes to the urban area and the rural area. The Andes Mountain is the second highest mountain range in the world, with a huge low-lying basins of the world's largest river system, which is the Amazon River. The Earth's largest tropical rainforest, which is the Amazon tropical rainforest, is situated across the mountain from one of the world's driest deserts, which is the Atacama Desert, and the region's great range or huge range in latitude produce a variety of climate regime, further changes in elevation and proximity to mountain ranges. And if you can see on the left side of the slide, there is a picture of Amazon rainforest and the Andes Mountain. Moving on to the next subtopic in this chapter, 2.0 Climate. Basically, there are three major climates in the Latin America region, which are the tropical rainy climate, subtropical rainy climate, and the last one is the desert climate, or we call it the arid climate. The first climate is called the tropical rainy climate. It is a hot and humid weather with a temperature around 28 degrees Celsius for the entire year. Average temperature of the coldest month will be at least 18 degrees Celsius over ocean waters, and there will absolutely no frost in the region, or in other words, there will be no winter. Rainy season usually starts around December until March, and the example of the location that experience this kind of climate is the Amazon basin in Brazil. Okay, on the right side of the slide, you can see a picture of how the Amazon basin look like in Brazil. And fun fact, you can find some of rare species animals such as the piranha, the cougar, and the hairy spider in the Amazon basin. The second climate that can be found in Latin America region is called the subtropical rainy climate. It is a form of hot and humid summer and cold to mild winters. This climate has two subtypes, which are CWA and CFA. The average temperature during coldest month is 0 degrees Celsius until -3 degrees Celsius. The mean temperature in the warmest month will be 22 degrees Celsius or higher, and the example of locations that experience this kind of climate is Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the Pampas in Argentina. And the last climate that can be found in the Latin America region is the desert climate or the arid climate. It is a warm and cold desert, and certain coastal are classified as arid climate, where rainfall is low, only about 4 inch to 7 inch. During winter, which is around June, July and August, daytime temperature will be around 22 degrees Celsius and 4 degrees Celsius at night, while during summer, which is January, February and March, the temperature between 27 degrees Celsius and a minimum of 16 degrees Celsius at night. The example of location that experience this kind of climate is the Atacama Desert, which is in the northern Chile. Next subtopic 3.0 Environmental Problems. There are three environmental problems in Latin America. First one is the soil erosion, air pollution, and the last one is water pollution. Okay, the first environmental problem that happens in Latin America region is soil erosion, where it is the most uh, where is the major issue that happens in many countries in Latin America, where increasing population place additional pressure on subsistence lands, and their primary subsistence crop is corn, commonly grown in rows up and down the slope, making it easy for intense rainstorms to wash soil away. As economic and population pressure for small subsistence farmers onto the hillside. Soil erosion also happens because of the elimination of natural vegetation that removes one of nature's mechanisms for holding soil in place on steep slopes. Soil erosion also happens because of intensive commercial agriculture and the development of resort and hotel and construction of infrastructure on many islands that cause vegetation loss and accelerated the soil erosion. Soil erosion, soil erosion also happens because of sedimentation of a reef system that may ultimately kill the coral. And the last one, things happen to a deforestation, which makes soil erosion a lot worse because there is more open space where heavy rainfall can just wipe away all of nutrient of the soil. And as you can see, there is two example picture of soil erosion and deforestation that happens in Colombia. The second environmental problem that happens in Latin America is air pollution. It is a result from mineral extraction and refining, and also concentration of human activities in urban areas. Mexico City is the most suffer than other metropolitan in Latin America from air pollution. It is a very densely populated urban center, situated in a bowl-shaped depression known as the Central Valley of Mexico. Mexico City and the valley floor are surrounded by higher mountains, which form a virtual wall around urban areas. The air in and just above the city is often trapped in the valley and becomes extremely stagnant. Air pollution happens also because of the vehicular exhaust coupled with industrial and domestic pollutants collect in the valley floor where millions of people breathe. And finally, naturally occurring temperature inversion or period during the winter months when cold and dense air remain trapped on the surface under warmer air for several days or even weeks, which worsening the phenomenon of air pollution in Mexico City. On the right side of the slide, you can see a picture of air pollution in Mexico City and a picture of vehicle exhaust that causes air pollution to happen in Mexico City. And the last environmental problem that happens in Latin America is water pollution. Currently, more than 12 million persons lack of drinkable water, especially in rural areas. It is due to the discharge of to the strong growth of population and internal migration, Water pollution also happens because of domestic, industrial, agricultural, and mining residues. 90 million Mexicans, despite having the infrastructure to receive drinkable water, they need to filter their water through domestic purifying system or buy water at a very high cost from private companies. And last but not least, Mexico is classified as a predominantly semi-arid country with a serious water scarcity problem for most of the population due to the distribution of natural sources and rainfall. On the top right corner of the slide, you can see a picture of water pollution that happens in Mexico and a picture of industrial waste that causes the water pollution to happen in Mexico. Moving on to the next subtopic in this chapter, 4.0, Regional Cultural History. I'll be covering 4.1, which is pre-European people, and 4.2, Spanish colonization and control, while the rest of the subtopic will be explained by the next team members, which is Fauzan and Najla. 4.1, Pre-European people. Pre-European people is the indigenous people present in Latin America when the European arrived had migrated to the region a few thousand years earlier through western North America. The indigenous group had a village-based subsistence economy that supported only modest number of people. As several urban-based civilizations emerged, and urban civilization in Latin America prospered through strict societal hierarchy and a large scale of agricultural production. Okay, there are three types of pre-European people. The first one is called the Maya, second is called the Aztec, and the last one is called the Inca. Not to forget, there is also a subsystem culture or subculture in the pre-European people. And on the right side of the slide, you can see a map that represents the area of each civilization, where the blue color represents the Aztec civilization in Tenochtitlan, Mexico City, and the soft green color represents the Maya civilization in Tikal, which is located in Guatemala. And the last one, the green color, represents the Inca civilization in Cusco, in the country of Peru. 4.1.1, the Maya. The Maya civilization rose to regional prominence through agricultural surplus and a rigid social structure. The Maya civilization flourished and occurred in the classic period from AD 200 to the 900s. AD is a Latin phrase that stands for Anno Domini, and the meaning of AD is the year of our Lord. The classic Maya societies were organized into city-states in which individually ruled and independently functioning urban centers. It is located in the Yucatan Peninsula of southern Mexico, Guatemala, parts of Belize and El Salvador, and parts of western Honduras. On the left side of the slide, you can see a picture of how the Maya looked like back in the days. During the pinnacle of the classic Maya civilization, cities are flourished with abundant food supplies, extensive construction of urban structures, religious, royal, athletic ceremonies, and detailed attention to the arts and science. The decline of the civilization happens because of the agricultural harvest diminished, resources competition, and warfare between some city-states. The Maya language is Mayan, and most Mayan descendants now speak Spanish. Nowadays, there are people throughout Yucatan and northern Central America who tie their ancestral heritage to the Maya of the classic period. On the right side of the slide is a picture of the Maya pyramid located in Mexico. Moving on to the next pre-European people in the Latin America, which is the Aztec. In the 1100s, Aztec as a group of tribes from central and northern Mexico settled in the area of modern Mexico City, and by 1325, the Aztec dominated the region with hierarchical society centered on the massive urban capital of Tenochtitlan. The Aztec is governed by one king from one capital, and the capital of the Aztec Empire was built on marshland and lakeshore in the central valley of Mexico. And on the left side of the slide, you can see a portrayal of how the ancient Aztec looked like back in their time. By the 1400s, the Aztec was dominant empire in Middle America and gathered great tribute riches in the capital. The elite of the empire convert acquired lands and people to their system and use human and natural resources to further their goals. The Aztec also forced conquered people into slavery, which fueled widespread animosity toward their empire's leadership. In 1550s, when the Spanish conquistadors reached what is now Mexico, their goal was to topple the Aztec leaders and transform the Aztec cultural landscape to one that stood for the glory of Spain. The Spanish conquistadors used their animosity to assist in overthrowing the Aztec Empire. On the right side of the slide is a picture of Aztec pyramid that was built in near the Mexico City. The next pre-European people that was found in Latin America is the Inca. Far from Aztec Empire, the warlike Inca formed a strong society based in the southern part of modern Peru around the mountain of Cusco during the early centuries of the second millennium AD. While in 1400s to early 1500s, the Inca expanded its empire from southern Colombia to central Chile. On the left side of the slide is the illustration of how the Inca tribes looked like back in their time. Next, Inca rulers established a well-connected system of roads running the length of their territory, which facilitated the empire's resources use, military control, and social order. The tightly ruled Inca Empire functioned from a hierarchical system of noble rule, which they believed to be the offspring of the sun god. All resources of the controlled territory were considered to be a property of the Inca leaders. Last one, Quechua is the official language of the Inca Empire, which remains widely spoken until today among the indigenous peoples of Bolivia, Ecuador, and Peru. On the left side of the slide is a picture of the Inca sun god, and on the top right corner is a picture of Machu Picchu that was built by the Inca Empire, which is located in the eastern Cordillera, southern Peru. Finally, 4.1.4 Subsystem cultures in Latin America. The Arawa and Carib groups of the islands and South American mainland areas of the Caribbean subsisted by forest hunting and fishing. The Araucarian of modern central Chile and the Pampan tribes of modern Argentina had relatively strong economies, and most of these subsisting groups were decimated by or largely absorbed into the colonial cultures. On the left side of the slide is a picture of how the Arawak group in Latin America look like, and on the right side of the slide is a picture or illustration of how the Araucarian tribe look like. Next, we'll be talking about the colonization that happens in Latin America region, which are the Spanish colonization and control, followed by Portuguese colonization, Brazil, and the last one, other European colonies. On the right side of the slide is a map that represents the territory of Portuguese and Spanish, where the yellow color represents the Portuguese territory and the chocolate color represents the Spanish territory. 4.2 Spanish colonization and control. In 1492, Christopher Columbus embarked from Spain on the first of 4 transatlantic voyages. His ship landed on several Caribbean islands, as well as a large stretch of the eastern coast of Central America and the coastal waters of northeastern South America. Spanish military and missionary groups soon followed. Much of the region was conquered and occupied within 50 years of the initial voyage of Columbus, except some of the smaller Caribbean islands, the far southern extremity of South America, and the territory that became Brazil. On the right side of the slide is the illustration of how Christopher Columbus looked like. Next, in 1494, Spain and Portugal signed the Treaty of Tordesillas, where they established the demarcation line between their global spheres of interest. The eastern quarter of South America belonged to Portugal, and the west part of the South America belonged to Spain. The initial Spanish occupation around 1510 centered on the large Caribbean island of Cuba and Hispaniola. On the right side of the slide is a map of the colonial conquest and settlement between Spain and Portugal. If you want to see a better or detailed picture of this map, you can refer on textbook page 481. Next, in 1519, Hernan Cortes led a group of conquistadors on an expedition to the heart of Aztec Empire because they are inspired by the tale of gold and other vast riches. In 1521, Spanish overthrew the Aztec Empire by combining multiple advantages of: first, the conquerors were considered gods by the Aztec, which allowed the Spaniards to infiltrate the hierarchy relatively easy. Next, the Spaniards also have more advanced weapons. And the last one, the accumulated animosity of the numerous enemies of the Aztec. On the right side of the slide is a picture of Hernan Cortes, who led a group of conquistadors on an expedition to the heart of the Aztec Empire. The Spanish captured Aztec lands and established the former Aztec capital in Tenochtitlan as the core of Spanish colonial American. As you can see on the right side of the slide is the illustration of how the Tenochtitlan city looked like. Next, in 1535, a Spanish viceroy began to govern the colony of New Spain, where they claimed the remainder of Mexico and Central America, northern Colombia, northern Venezuela, and Caribbean islands, such as Jamaica and Trinidad. Expedition pushed northward into the southern part of the modern United States from the 1530s, but they found no gold. In 1532, a small Spanish force invaded and captured Cusco, which is the capital of the Inca Empire. The Spanish expedition in the southern South America in the 1530s did not lead to material occupation or integration into Spain's colonial system. The Spaniards conquered most of the region in the 1500s and imposed a high degree of control on the colony of New Spain by establishing an oppressive system of agricultural production and tightly connected urban settlement and ports. After the conquest, the lack of immunity to European disease reduced the indigenous population. The surviving communities were converted by the Roman Catholic Church and forced to give up their subsistence agriculture to provide crops and livestock for the food needs of the foreign city dwellers. Next, mining settlement in the Andes Mountain used various forms of slavery to coerce the local people. In conjunction with the responsibility for political control, the establishment of settlement and exploitation of natural resource wealth, Spain granted to nobles, soldiers and church dignitaries, such as a large land areas and jurisdiction over the native people, to use them as laborers. The encomienda is a system in which a combination of feudalism and slavery, and it applies throughout the Spanish colonies for more than 200 years. Last but not least, Spanish colonial agriculture developed haciendas which means a large production estate, to cultivate crops and livestock products for local or domestic markets. Landholder often advance credit to laborers and be in debt to the hacienda. Coastal areas around Caribbean were home to plantations that produced agricultural products for export to Europe and outside the region. Corrupt colonial administration of the region established a foundation for progressive and lasting tension between various socio-economic groups. The native people were dispossessed of land and rarely afforded educational opportunities. Spanish also the Spanish also introduced the socio-economic scale, where there are three of them. The first one, or the highest level in the scale, is called Peninsulares. Peninsulares is the Spaniard born in Spain and living or working in the New World, and they also took the highest office and largest land grants. The second level is called the Criollos, which is the Spaniard who born in the colonies. The last one, which are the lowest in the socio-economic scale, is called Mestizos. Mestizos is a mixture of European and Native American ancestry, and they had fewer privilege and became resentful as their link to Spain weakened. On the right side of the slide is the illustration of the socio-economic scale, where the Peninsulares will be on top of the pyramid, followed by the Criollos, and the lowest level in the socio-economic scale will be the Mestizos.
Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fauzan Colby and I will continue to the 4.3 Portuguese colonization Brazil. The Portuguese stepped up the statement and political organization of the region. So, the Portuguese colonization effort in Brazil moved slower than Spanish until French attempt to colonize previous claimed by Portugal in 1530s. The Portuguese established a settlement along Rio de Janeiro Bay after expelling French settlers from the portion of the region. And then in the late 70s, the Bayside settlement of Rio de Janeiro became the Portuguese colonial capital. And in the 16th, Portuguese colonization discovered gold island of Rio de Janeiro and led to increase the Portuguese colonization and set off the expedition to explore more and claim the interior. The various attempts were pushed Portuguese boundaries southward to the Plata estuary, where the Spanish settlement was slow in the 1680, and then Spain agreed to permit Brazilian interior expansion westward of the Tordesillas line in the 1750s, and then the Portuguese process of the occupying Brazil resembled that of Spain in its colonies, despite it had some distinctive features. And then the colonial Brazil was economically and socially controlled by an elite class. This elite class purchased and captured millions of African slaves and transported them across the Atlantic to work on the large sugar plantation along the northeastern coast. And the Portuguese are responsible for the forced immigration more African to fulfill the labor of economic development, and estimates that 4 million Africans were shipped to the Brazil to fill labor needs of economic development. Further south in the modern Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro areas, the Europeans who are not the elite colonial had more opportunity to establish their right to the new land and led to a greater degree of personal autonomy. And the fun fact, if you have watched the Rio film about the bluebirds, it's from here because it has the large urban forest in the world. So that's the reason why this place has more opportunities such as mineral and gold. Move to 4.4 other European colonies. French, Dutch, and British attempts to colonize Latin America came later and were largely resisted by the Spanish and Portuguese. There were limited incursions on lands controlled by dominant colonizers, primarily in and on the periphery of the Caribbean basin. And then the French took the western third of Hispaniola in the 1697. And then in the 1804, a successful slave revolt and independence movement known as Haitian Revolution expelled the French and led to the creation of the new country of Haiti. As you can see here on the slide, on the right, you can see the picture, and then there's some quotes from the Haitian Revolution. A man with the Haiti's flag is successful. And a fun fact about the Haitian Revolution, that during the 1791 until 1804 period, the Haitian Revolution is considered to be the one of the most successful anti-slavery rebellions in the Western Hemisphere. So the French took control of the remainder of Hispaniola, or today known as Santo Domingo, from Spain and maintained presence until 1809. And Puerto Rico became Commonwealth territory of United States in 1898. Its people became U.S. citizens in 1917. And then some smaller Caribbean islands that were ignored by Spain had their first European settlement by French, Dutch, and British. And then the dramatic increase in land area devoted to sugar cultivation and amount of the African slave labor to the region contribute to gains in the mineral wealth for many Europeans. The Britain took Jamaica and Trinidad in 1797 from Spain in the 1670s. So the Dutch settled in the 15 and 18 and establishing what is today the country of Suriname. The British took Western Territory in 1814 and established a colony today, the independent country of Guyana. The French settled the eastern part in 16th. The famous penal colony of Devils Island deterred further immigration into French Guiana until the prison closed in the 1938. The British colonies in Belize lasted until well into the 90s. The infamous endured in the Western Caribbean in Belize and parts of Honduras. The English-speaking residents of the Bay Islands of Honduras are today a contemporary geographic remain of British influence in the region. Move to the 4.5 independence. An initial wealth effect Europeans came for export of high-value minerals from Latin America such as gold, silver, and gumstones. Fun fact about the colonies on the Asian or Indonesian mine is known as gold, glory, and gospel. That the reason why the colonies countries want to colonize another country for looking and spread it. The flows of the wealth slowed in the 70s and the devotion of research to fight Napoleonic conquests of the Spain in the 17 and 90s. The colonial power of both Spain and Portugal weakened considerably. In the early 18th, the eroding stage of those European colonial empire enabled many Latin American countries to gain independence in the early 18th. The new countries larger emerged from administrative division with the Spain viceroyalties. The colonial boundaries between these divisions were poorly surveyed, if at all, forming a basis for subsequent disputes. The establishment of modern countries in the region unfolded slowly after independence. Mexico separated from Spain rule in 1821 and it covered an area from the present-day southwestern United States through the modern Costa Rica-Panama border. In 1823, the Central American region separated from Mexico as a united province of Central America, which then further divided in 1838 into the individual Central American republics today. And the northwestern South America functioned apart from Spanish rule Gran Colombia in 1828 until the 1830. So the independent countries of Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, and Venezuela emerged in 1830. The Panama finally gained independence after the U.S. interest to build a canal across the isthmus in the 1903. And then the remainder of Spain, South America, splintered into several countries independent of the Spanish crown in the 1810 until 1820. About the post-independent, Newly independent countries were poorly prepared and failed to capitalize their sovereignty. Next 150 years after the independence were marked by political instability and punctured by such periods of economic growth. The Spanish left behind a geographic system based on a mineral exploitation, transportation to a limited number of ports, and large estates engaged in raising livestock. Move to the 4.5.2 independence from Portugal, Brazil. In the 18th and 20s, Brazil gained its independence and was better prepared by modernization than other post-colonization territories. The Portuguese royal family evacuated Europeans to Brazil when Napoleon tried to take their country, and Rio de Janeiro became temporary capital of Portuguese family in the 1807. And in the 1819, after the Napoleon loss, the Portuguese royal family returned to Portugal. The prince proclaimed the independence of Brazil from Portugal and announced himself king as Pedro I in the 1822. In the 1840 until the 1889, under the King Pedro II, Brazil's economy blooming and grew rapidly. With the construction of railroads and ports, the expansion of mining and East Central parts, commercial coffee farming in the south, and the rubber collecting in the Amazon River basin. The military coup made Brazil a republic, but falling price of coffee and rubber led to a widespread of unrest and a period of dictatorship in 1889. And in the 90s, Brazil encouraged immigration and received many people from Germany, Italy, and Japan, moved mainly to the southern parts of the country where the environmental conditions were somewhat similar to those of their homelands. Move to the 5.0 organization in Latin America, which are Mercosur and the CARICOM. As you can see here on the slide is the logos of the Mercosur and the CARICOM. The first one is Mercosur. Mercosur, or Mercado Común del Sur, or the Southern Common Market, is a regional integration process initially established by Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, and subsequently joined by Venezuela and Bolivia. Venezuela was suspended from the trading bloc December 1 because of its failure to incorporate standards on trade and human rights into national law. Its members have a combined area of 13.771.194 kilometers and a population of 264 million people if counting only the full member states. Mercosur functions as a custom union and free trade area, has ambition to become a common market along the lines of the European Union. And then the Mercosur had generated a nominal gross domestic product, or GDP, of around 4.6 trillion US dollar, placing the bloc as the fifth economy of the world. The bloc placed high on the Human Development Index in 2019. As you can see here on the slide, it's Mercosur members and associates as of 2020, which are Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Venezuela, and others. Move to the next 5.2 is CARICOM. CARICOM is the oldest surviving integration movement in the developing world. The Caribbean Community, or CARICOM, is a grouping of 20 countries, 15 member states, and the 5 associate members. It is home to approximately 16 million citizens, 60% of whom are under the age of 30, and from the main ethnic groups of indigenous people: African, Indian, Europeans, Chinese, Portuguese, and Japanese. The organization was established in 1973. The community is multilingual with English as the major language, complemented by French and Dutch as a variation of taste, as well as African and Asian expression. Its major activity involves coordinating economic policies and development planning, devising and instituting special projects for the less developed countries within its jurisdiction, operating as a regional single market for many of its members, CARICOM single market, and is handling regional trade disputes. The Secretariat headquarters is in Georgetown, Guyana. CARICOM is an official United Nations observer. The CARICOM rests on the 4 main pillars, which are economic integration, foreign policy coordination, human and social development, and security. CARICOM has 5 objectives, which are to improve standard of living and work, to full employment of labor and other factors of production, accelerated, coordinated and sustained economic development and convergence, expansion of trade and economic relations with third states, and exchange level of international competitiveness. As you can see here on the slide is the logos of the CARICOM. Now it's a member of CARICOM as of 2019/2020, which are Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, and others. Move to the 6.0, the Latin America subregion. There are 6 subregions on the Latin America, which are Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean Basin and environs, Northern Andes, Brazil, and the Southern South America. Move to the next 6.1, it's Mexico. Mexico dominates Middle America in population, land area, and aggregated economic activity and will be examined as an individual subregion. As you can see here is the maps of the Mexico. So the Mexico covers of 1.1972.550 square kilometers and it has approximately 128.649.565 inhabitants. So that's make Mexico is the world's 13th largest country by area, 10th most populous country, and most populous Spanish-speaking nation. This is the economic activities in the Mexico, which manufacturing. The name of this company is the Ford. As you can see here on the slide is the logos of the company. And this industry is about automotive and located in Chihuahua, Mexico. And the Ford Chihuahua engine plant is the engine factory in the Chihuahua, Mexico, owned by Ford Motor Company. The engines produced in Chihuahua are exported to various parts of the world, including the United States, Canada, South America, and the Asia-Pacific region. Fun fact, Ford is the second largest family-owned company in the world. Henry Ford's great-grandson, William Clay Ford, currently resides as the company's executive chairman. Move to the next economic activities in Mexico is mining. Pemex is industry of oil and gas located in Mexico City, Mexico. The Petróleos Mexicanos, which translates to Mexican petroleum, but its trans-market and better known as Pemex, is in Mexican state-owned petroleum company, created in 1938 by nationalization or expropriation of all private, foreign, and domestic oil companies at the time. And the fun fact about the Pemex is the largest producer of crude oil, natural gas, and resin product in Mexico, most important marketer of product in Mexico, and the most important source of government income. The third economic activities is service. BBVA Bancomer Company is the finance and insurance located in Mexico City, Mexico. BBVA Mexico is a Mexican financial institution and the largest in the country, dominating about 20% of the market, founded in the 1932 as Banco de Comercio or Bancomer and rebranded from 2000 to 2019 as BBVA Bancomer. As you can see here on the slide is the logos of the BBVA Bancomer and the BBVA Bancomer on the Paseo de la Reforma in Mexico City. Move to the 6.2 Central America. This region is bordered by Mexico to the north, Colombia to the south, and the Caribbean Sea to the east, and Pacific Ocean to the west and south. As you can see here on the slide is the map of Central America. Central America consists of 7 countries which are El Salvador, Costa Rica, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. The 7 Central American countries had a total population of nearly 42.6 million people in 2010. This is the list of countries in the Central America, which are Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, and others. The first economic activities in Central America is education. As you can see here on the slide is the Universidad de Costa Rica. This university is located in the San Pedro Montes de Oca, San Jose, Costa Rica, and it's the most important research university in the country and Central America. It's the oldest and largest and most prestigious institution of higher learning in the Costa Rica. And fun fact about this company and university, the Universidad de Costa Rica is currently in the top 500 best universities worldwide, ranking at 287 worldwide, 11 at Latin American wise, and it's about 39,000 students attend UCR each year. The next economic activities in Central America is services. Copa Airlines Company is the air transport service located in Panama City, Panama, and Copa Airlines is also the main operator and owner of Copa Airlines Colombia. They are currently doing domestic flights such as Jamaica, Colombia, and Costa Rica, and international flight. Fun fact about this Copa Airlines, it serves a total of 72 destinations across North, Central, and South America, as well as the Caribbean. They operate the fleet of currently 89 jets, a mix of Boeing B737 and Embraer E190. As you can see here on the slide is the Copa Airlines logo and the Copa Airlines Boeing 737-800. And the last economic activity in Central America is agriculture. Belagro Agriculture is the largest fertilizer and agrochemical suppliers in Belize, supporting the agriculture sector with high quality fertilizer and agricultural chemical. The company represents the most renowned global agriculture manufacturer. As you can see here on the slide is the logo of the company, Belagro Agriculture.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nonazla Ani. So I will continue with 6.3 Caribbean Basin and Emirates. The contemporary human and physical geography of the Caribbean Basin reflects dramatic transformation imposed on the region by European countries during the colonial era. The loss of indigenous people to disease, the forced immigration of Africans to the basin, and the establishment of extensive sugar cultivation on the island lead to the foundation of the social, environmental, and economic conditions present in the subregion today. The Caribbean Basin consists of a few large islands, several small islands, and 3 political units on South American mainland. The majority of the Caribbean residents live on one of the 4 largest islands known as Greater Antilles, which is Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and Jamaica, and the smaller Caribbean islands commonly referred as Lesser Antilles. This is the list of the countries in the Caribbean Basin and Emirates, which is Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Cuba, and Dominica. This is one of economic activity in Caribbean Basin and Emirates, which is mining. The company name is Petrotrin, and the service mine oil and gas. The second economic activities in Caribbean Basin and Emirates is traveling service. As you all know, the clamming beach and turquoise water in the region is the #1 attraction. The island of the Caribbean Basin also provide historical, unique, and cultural experience. For example, one of the most tourism attraction is at Paradise Island Ferry Terminal, Nassau, Bahamas. It is best known for the sprawling resort Atlantis with the extensive water park ride, pools, beach, restaurant, walk-in aquarium, and casino. The third economic activities in the Caribbean Basin and Emirates is agriculture. The company name is Hampton Estate. The location is that Hampton Estate, Chevalowly, Jamaica. Do you guys know that Hampton Estate is one of the oldest sugar estates in Jamaica? Jamaica gained historical significance as the largest British colony in the Caribbean Basin. Sugar plantations expanded until the abolition of slavery. Bananas then became important of the plantation and group of cooperative farms. Continue with 6.4 Notre Andes. The background picture above shown is Andes Mountain. The Andes Mountain is the dominant feature in all 5 countries of the Northern Andes subregion, consisting of Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. So this is the map of Northern Andes. This is a list of countries in Northern Andes, which is I have said just now: Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. This is the economic activities in Northern Andes, which is mining. The company name is Ecopetrol, located in Bogota, Colombia. Okay, it's formerly known as the Empresa Colombiana de Petróleos. Ecopetrol began its activity in 1921 as the tropical oil company before it's being taken over by the state. Colombia was the Latin America's first democracy, and today it has more diversified economy than other Northern Andean countries. The second economic activities in Northern Andes is agriculture. The company name is Andahuasi, which is located in Lima, Peru. Andahuasi is a Peruvian company primarily engaged in agriculture sector. The company specializes in the cultivation and the processing of sugarcane and fruits such as apple, papayas, pineapples, and others. It commercializes and exports such products as sugar, molasses, bagasse, alcohol, liquors, and other sugar derivatives. In addition, the company is involved in the livestock of farming. Next, the last economic activities in Northern Andes is manufacturing. The company name is Technoglass, which founded in 1984. Technoglass has provided special glass for iconic buildings such as the Trump Tower in Miami, Trump Plaza in Panama, and El Dorado International Airport in Bogota. Continue with 6.5 Brazil. Brazil is the largest country in both area and population in all of the Latin America. Brazil has 3 times the area of Argentina and the second largest of South American country. So this is the map of Brazil. In 2010, Brazil population exceed 193.3 million, which is much larger than the total population of any other Latin America subregion. This is the economic activity in Brazil, which is manufacturing. The industry is aerospace. The company name is Embraer. It's located in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Embraer SA is a Brazilian aerospace conglomerate that produces commercial, military, executive, and agricultural aircraft and provides aeronautical service. The company is also the third largest producer of civil aircraft after Boeing and Airbus. The second economic activity in Brazil is manufacturing coffee. The company name is Golden Bean Trade. Golden Bean Trade grew in the coffee business go back to 1973 with coffee baron Domingo Pointeiro de Pezente at Pedra Gedra Farm, located in Três Pontas, Minas Gerais, Brazil. Pedra Gedra Farm has since become a coffee museum and is a part of Brazil's historical heritage. The last economic activities in Brazil is service, which is banking service. It's located in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The company name is Itaú Unibanco. Itaú Unibanco is the largest private sector bank in Brazil. It is ranked by Forbes as one of the largest companies in the world based on business-generated assets and the market value. This is the current issue in Brazil. The first one is development issue in Amazon. government activities, which is Indian Right Agency, and fabulous urban strife in Brazil City. The first current issue in Brazil is development issue in Amazon. The Brazilian government remains committed to developing the Amazon River basin. Critics argue such policies encourage families with a little farming experience to take up farming on improperly surveyed land. Road construction in the Amazon is increasingly tied to deforestation and the environmental degradation. The construction of BR-364 in Colombia and Acre in the western Amazon brought thousands of settlers to the area who cut sprout in the forest without government encouragement. Dramatic increase in the forest clearing and burning aroused international outrage. Many of these settlers failed to grow anything on their plot. The alternative attraction of the rapid development of soybean farming in the Campo Cerrado in 1990s led to a slowly of such settlement along the linked forest burning and destruction in the western Amazon. Graph in the slide show the deforestation of the Brazilian Amazon from 1988 to 2019. As we can see, the graph shows that the number of deforestation in Amazon is getting worse. The second current issue in Brazil is government activity, which is in the right agency. National Indian Foundation, or FUNAI, is the Brazilian government body that establishes and carries out policy relating to indigenous people. FUNAI is responsible for mapping out and protecting land traditionally inhabited by this community. It is charged with preventing invasion and indigenous interests by the outsiders. All over Brazil, indigenous people are living in different degrees of isolation. Illegal miners, ranchers, loggers, and other groups pose a risk to Indian life and well-being and destroy their natural resources. FUNAI's task is to ensure that their rights are respected as are in the Brazilian Constitution and Indian statute. It is work in a wide range and include opposition of Hakani, the controversial evangelical missionary film which promote intervention by the authorities in tribal community. Indian people usually live in the savanna and Atlantis forests of the zone. During the past 100 years, almost all their land have been stolen from them and turned into the vast, dry network of the cattle range, soil fields, and sugarcane plantation. Today, challenge to the Indian, several hydroelectric dam complexes are being built near uncontacted Indian group. They will also deprive thousands of other Indian land, water, and livelihood. The last current issue in Brazil is favela, urban strife in Brazil City. Favela in Brazil is a slum and shanty town located within or on the outskirts of the country-large city, especially Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. It is estimated around 7 million in São Paulo and up to 6 million in Rio de Janeiro that live in favela. A favela is typically comes into being when a quarters occupies vacant land at the edge of the city and construct shanty over savage or stolen materials. Many favelas has no water, electricity, waste disposal, and paved road. They provide no security for the inhabitants and are often centers of disease and crime. Some have identified the origins of favela in the Brazilian communities formed by the impoverished former slaves in the late 19th century. A wide variety of small businesses exist in favela and serve the needs of the community, but the favela are also frequently crime-ridden and have long been dominated by the gang immersed in the illegal drug trafficking. Police presence is sporadic and local communities are developed in response to the gangs, only to supplant them in some cases. Over the years, the Brazilian government has taken a number of different approaches in dealing with favela, from programs to eradicate the favelas to afford to provide an improved infrastructure and permanent house. Okay, the last point is 6.6 Southern South America. This is the map of Southern South America. It is also known as Southern Cone because of the combined shape on the map. This is the list of countries in Southern South America, which is Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, and Uruguay. The first economic activity in Southern South America is air transport service. The company name is LATAM Airlines. It is located in Santiago, Chile. It is considered as the largest airline in Latin America with subsidiaries in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Peru. The company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States on 26 May 2020 due to economic problems contribute to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on aviation. The second economic activity in Southern South America is food processing manufacturing. The company name is Molinos Rio de la Plata. It is located in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The company is a large exporter of sunflower processed oil and is one of Argentina's main exporters of white oil. Molinos also produce a wide range of packaged food for domestic consumption, including bottled oil, margarine, pasta, premix, and many more. The last economic activity in Southern South America is oil and natural gas mining. Oil production is increasingly significant to the economy of Argentina. For example, the company is YPFSA. It's located in Buenos Aires, Argentina. YPFSA is a vertically integrated Argentine energy company engaged in oil and gas exploration and production, and the transportation, refining, and marketing of gas and petroleum products. That's all from us. Thank you. Gracias. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys.